Great. My name is James Rubinstein. I'm part of the discovery science team at Pinterest, and our job is to make sure that we are measuring all of the algorithmic goodness that happens on Pinterest. So if you can find it on Pinterest, chances are we measured it. So what I want to talk to you today is crowdsourcing for fun and profit, and how we can leverage intrinsic motivation to improve outcomes in crowdsourced applications. So first, I want to talk to you about crowdsourcing, what it is, why we do it, motivation, why people take part in crowdsourcing tasks, games gamification, and then some practical examples of how we can actually leverage intrinsic motivation. So what is crowdsourcing? Crowdsourcing is the act of dividing up large, complicated, or tedious tasks, distributing it to many workers who are usually not experts. It often carries this connotation of tedium, doing small, repetitive tasks over and over. It's basically the intellectual equivalent of an assembly line. So why do we want to use it in industry? We want to use it to outsource our drudgery, basically. Right? We want to get new ideas, we want to scale up data collection, scale up data cleaning, and basically we want to amplify our own efforts with the muscle, the intellectual horsepower of thousands of people. So the downside of this is that we're often talking about our most tedious work. This is like rating thousands of search results in our case, looking through contact addresses, identifying parking lots on a map, or other similarly repetitive microtasks. So that sounds pretty boring, right? And why would that be a problem? Well, it's a problem because we want the best quality work, we want accuracy, we want creativity, and we want engagement from our workers so that we can make sure that we're getting the cleanest, the most accurate evaluations that we can use to train our models and measure performance. So typically, we motivate our workers with money. In this traditional economic model, we usually provide this incentive, and the more incentive we give, the harder we expect people to work. But human motivation is a mysterious and tricky thing, right? Basic economics will tell us that the more we reward behavior, the more we expect that behavior to occur. The higher the reward for the outcome, the harder that we expect an individual will work to achieve that outcome. However, this model of motivation falls apart with even the most rudimentary cognitive task. For even the simplest of creative work, we actually see a decrease in performance when extrinsic motivation is applied. Basically, when we start to pay people, they are less creative, less motivated, and produce lower quality work than if we ask them to contribute this work for free. Furthermore, when you stop paying people, they tend to stop working. I know, this is very shocking. So if we can leverage intrinsic motivation, we might find that people are more creative and are actually producing higher quality work. So how can we tap intrinsic motivation to get work done with the crowd? Well, we can provide autonomy, we give a sense of mastery, and we give purpose to our tasks, which is what Daniel Pink suggests. But I would also add to that we should make our tasks fun. So I know fun is not usually a word associated with crowdsourcing. So we can make games. Games are a form of play. People engage in them because they are intrinsically motivated to do so. We take our tasks and we gamify them. But we have to be careful about doing so because gamification can really come across as a hollow ploy just to get people to do shit for free. The differentiation between the two definitions on the screen here, games are a form of play, gamification is a form of marketing. Yuck. So I want to just kind of give a quick demo of games and gamification. So I'm hoping I can get a couple of volunteers to come up. So anybody want to come up? Come on. Come on, somebody. All right, you. All right. Who else got their hand up? You. Yeah, come on up here. All right. Great. So thanks for your participation. You get a sticker. All right. Who's coming up? Come on. All right. There you go. You get a sticker too, Will.
Thank you.
All right. Will's my buddy. We talk all the time.
All the time.
He doesn't like it very much. Okay, all right. Hopefully you guys can't see the You can't see the instructions here. So that's kind of an example of gamification, right? I gave them both a reward just for doing something that they probably would do anyway, right? But now we're going to play a game, and we're going to answer some trivia questions. All right, so first one to raise their hands gets to answer the question, all right? In what country would you be able to check the time on Big Ben? Oh, okay, all right, I think Will's got it. What country is it, Will?
That would be England.
All right, England is the correct answer. All right, and for your correct answer, you get a pin. There we go. So something a little bit more permanent. So there we go. Sorry, Sheil, you didn't get anything. That's a game. It's a game because there were rules and there was an outcome. And that outcome was that Will got a prize for answering the question correctly. All right, one more question. The mythical cross between a tiger and a lion is called?
A liger.
All right, excellent. So for that, Sheil, you get the big Pinterest sticker to go on your car so you can rep for us. All right, thank you both very much, guys. I've got a couple more pins if anybody wants some pins and stickers. So, yeah, man, of course. Yeah, all right. There you go. Thanks for your participation. All right, so hopefully that kind of gives you some insight as to games versus gamification, right? Gamification is often just like adding badges. It's Chrome, whereas games are something that you really engage with. There are rules. There are specific outcomes that people are working to achieve. So what are some practical applications of games and gamification when we're talking about crowdsourcing? So I've got a few examples. The first is the ESP game. This was developed by Louis Van On. This game matches players from across the internet and basically makes them partners. And the object of the game is that you want to tag the image with the same tag that your partner gives. And when you do that, you get points. There are also taboo words, like the game Taboo, that players could not enter. In this case, the researchers collected 3.89 tags per minute per pair of players. And the precision of those tags is extremely high, basically 100% by some measures. So if they were to have about 5,000 players, Dr. Van On estimated that they would tag all of the images in Google at the time, which is roughly 425 million images over the course of 6 months. And that's just 5,000 pairs. That's not that many players. That's huge scale with very little cost. And the reason it costs so little is because people are intrinsically motivated to play. They're playing for the fun of playing. So another example is Matchin'. This one also comes from the lab of Louis Van On. I was also on gameswithapurpose.com. And this, again, we match players from across the internet. And the purpose at this time is to choose the image that you think your partner would like best. And when you your two players match, then you would be awarded points. The faster you match, the more points you would get. The more matches you got in a row, the greater number of points you would get. So you'd get bonuses as kind of time went on. And this creates a super strong signal of image quality by creating this sort of rank-ordered list of image quality. When two people match on a thing, that creates a very strong signal that the one thing is better than the other thing, so in this case, images. So if we all liked the picture of the snake, then that would give us a lot stronger signal about pythons. So by doing that, we create this rank order list, and they did the same thing for Flickr images. So they created this massive database of rank ordered preferences of images that are in Flickr. So one of the interesting outcomes is that really good partnerships can create this powerful feeling of connection between the two partners. And this is really interesting because it will actually lead to often romantic or friendly intentions between the two partners. So Dr. Van On actually mentioned that quite often people would say, oh, I had this great matchup. I would really like to meet that person in real life. So there you go. So you might be wondering, James, when are you going to mention Pinterest? Well, Pinterest is actually an interesting example of crowdsourcing in and of itself. There are roughly 30 billion pins available on Pinterest, all of which categorized onto 750 million boards by our 100 million active users. This creates massive signals about not only the quality of the images and the pins and the subjects that they relate to, But a single pin can actually be attached to several different boards, and that actually gives a lot of different signal about what that pin is about. Not only that, but it also gives like who's interested in this sort of pin. Why are they interested in it? And it also gives us a great signal on what are the other things that might be associated with that particular pin. So this is a little bit more explicit crowdsourcing task. So this is something we ran on Crowdflower. What we're doing here is we're trying to identify the country of origin for a website. Now this probably sounds like the most tedious drudge work that I could think of. So what we did was to make this more engaging, we used sort of fun language. We did still pay our workers, so this isn't like a game or anything that we ran. But we started it out with having sort of tongue-in-cheek language, basically starting off with, all right, Encyclopedia Brown. So we kept that language up throughout kind of the whole job, referring to people as Sherlock in sort of a tongue-in-cheek way, or Poirot. And by keeping that kind of language up, we just made it a little bit more fun. And in doing so, we got really high-quality results. We still managed, we still kept gold and still used multiple judgments, which are kind of the traditional methods of maintaining quality in these crowdsourcing tasks. My final example of a crowdsourcing task is this is a sort of our side-by-side search relevance evaluation task. And what we're doing is we're giving raters a query, in this case Gucci gloves, and we're having them look at two different sets of results on the left or the right side. So on the left side we see a bunch of gloves that are presumably Gucci, and on the right side we see a very confused looking Selma Hayek wondering why she was brought back in the recall set for the query Gucci gloves. This is kind of an improvement on point-wise evaluation of search relevance, which is sort of the traditional thing, because this is differentiation, and differentiation is easier for people to do than actual objective point-wise evaluation. It's a pretty fun task, so it's more like browsing Pinterest than kind of a traditional crowdsourcing task where you're clicking lots of buttons, this is relevant, this is irrelevant. And it's got really simple rules. Basically, the instructions are something along the lines of pick which side you think is more relevant. And that's it. And we got feedback like this from one of our workers. I absolutely love your Pinterest hits. I could do these all day, which is frankly fantastic feedback for many of our workers. So to conclude, crowdsourcing is often very, very, very boring. And so we throw money at our workers. But that doesn't necessarily improve performance. If we use games and gamification, we can improve performance and reduce costs by leveraging intrinsic motivation. So, like our examples from Pinterest, games with a purpose. Now, hopefully that gives you some more insight into what motivates crowd workers and how you can leverage intrinsic motivation in your own research. Thank you.